Hello and welcome to SIA Tech Hub AI Academy. My name is Victor Hadedoyin and I will be your instructor for the AI-powered 30-day content marketing system course. In this course, we are going to learn how to use AI to build a practical 30-day content marketing system. From understanding a business and the customers to planning the content, creating and publishing the content. We are going to measure the results from the content that have been published, and we use the data to improve the next campaign. Throughout this course, we use Abuja Fresh Bites as our case study, so you can see how the process works with a real business scenario. And I will also advise you to apply what you are going to learn in this course practically to your business or to a business of your choice. By the end of this course, you should be able to take a business, develop its marketing strategy with AI, create a 30-day content plan, and produce marketing contents, measure the performance of the content, and use the results to improve the next campaign. So let's get started. Welcome to lesson 1, the AI-powered marketing mindset. Before we start creating content, I want us to understand one important thing. AI is not the marketing strategy. AI is the execution engine. You cannot just open ChatGPT and say, give me 30 social media posts. Definitely you might get 30 posts, but that does not mean you have a marketing strategy. We first need to understand the business, the customers, the business goals, and what we are trying to achieve. We provide the strategy and the direction, while AI helps us to execute them faster. This is the purpose of the AI. AI does not replace human being. AI only helps human being to operate faster, to perform better. So throughout this course, we are going to follow a simple process. Understand the business, plan the marketing, create the content, publish the content. We are going to measure the results of the content that have been published. Then we improve what we are doing. Before we ask AI to create anything, we need to give it something to work with, the business context. Welcome to lesson 2, define the business context. Now, before AI creates a strategy, we need to give it the full picture of the business. And in order to do that, there are 5 questions we need to ask. First, what do we sell? In our case study, Abuja Fresh Bites sells meals, snacks, drinks, and corporate lunch. Second, who do we serve? We need to be clear about who the business is serving. Third, what is the problem? In this case, the challenge is inconsistent marketing and low conversion from attention to actual orders. Fourth, what is the goal? What do we want to achieve? The goal is to move from awareness to inquiries to orders and ultimately to repeat customers, retaining customer. And fifth, where do we compete? We need to understand the market where the business is operating. The main idea here is simple. The better the business context we give AI, the better strategic output we can get from it. It is garbage in, garbage out. Let's start with our first practical demo. I'm going to use ChatGPT to analyze the business before we create any marketing content. I have provided the business name, industry, location, products, target customers, current challenge, and business goal. Now, I'm not asking ChatGPT to write a caption or create a marketing content. I'm asking it to first understand the business, identify the main problem and opportunity, understand the likely customer needs, and tell us what information we are still missing. This gives us a proper foundation before we move into strategy. Do not be worried. I will provide all the prompts used in this course at the end. Lesson 3. Understand the customer personas. In marketing, customer personas is a fictional profile of your customers. It gives you an idea of who your customers are. We want to move away from saying our audience is everybody to identifying the specific people we are trying to influence. For Abuja Fresh Bites, we have four customer groups. First, the young professional who is looking for convenience, quick and reliable meals that fit busy schedule. Next, the family customer. The family customer focuses on value, delicious and nutritious meals that are worth the price. Then we have the student who is mainly looking for meals that are affordable, tasty, and filling meals that they can afford consistently. And finally, the corporate buyer who values reliability, consistent quantity, and on time delivery for their team. For the live demo, we will use ChatGPT to create practical personas for these four groups, including their needs, pain points, motivations, objections, decision factors, preferred platforms, content, messages, and CTAs. CTAs means call to action. We also want those personas to be realistic for the Abuja market. And one important point, if we ask AI to recommend which persona we should prioritize for revenue, we shouldn't blindly accept the recommendation yet. We need to validate this assumption with real market data. Now that ChatGPT understands the business, let's move to the customer persona. Instead of saying everybody is our audience, we are going to create four practical customer personas: young professionals, families, students, and corporate launch buyers. I'm asking ChatGPT to go beyond basic demographics. I want to understand their needs, pain point, motivation, objection, and the rest. We can also ask ChatGPT to compare the four personas, recommend which one to prioritize for revenue. But remember, that recommendation is not automatically a fact. We need real business data to validate the assumption. So I've already copied the prompt to use. I'll paste it here to generate exactly this. Done generating. Perfect. Lesson 4, build content pillars. Before we start generating individual posts, we first need to create the strategic content structure. The content journey here moves through 5 stages. These are the 5 content pillars: awareness, engagement, trust, lead generation, and sales. Number 1, awareness. The goal is to be seen and remembered. The content should introduce and educate with calls to action like following the page or saying what's cooking. Next is engagement. Here, the goal is to connect, interact, and build a community. The content can entertain people, involve people, and create conversations. Then we have trust. The focus is proving that the business is dependable. We educate, reassure, and show proof with actions such as viewing reviews and trusting the quality. The first stage is lead generation. Now we are turning interest into inquiries. The content should inform, solve problems, and provide value with CTAs such as asking people to send menu or get the menu. Finally, we have sales. The goal is to convert interest into orders and increase revenue. Here, the content can promote an offer, the content can create urgency or encourage people to order. So these 5 pillars give us a clear structure for the content we create instead of just creating posts without strategic direction. Now we are going to build the content pillars. I'm giving ChatGPT everything we have established so far: the business objectives, audience, personas, customer needs, pain points, and buying motivation. The goal is to create 5 strategic pillars that support awareness, engagement, trust, lead generation, and sales. For each pillar, we are also asking for practical topics, formats, objectives, and CTAs. The important thing here is that we are building the content system before creating individual posts. Here I'll paste the prompts. So we have the 5 strategic content pillars now. Abuja food moments. The CTA is also being generated. What's for lunch? That is the objective and CTA. Number 3, the Fresh Bites proof. Good. The objective is to increase credibility and reduce purchase hesitation. It has a CTA. Number 4, we have the 5th one. So gradually we are moving towards actual posts that will generate, that will give us ability to achieve our goals. Lesson 5, build the 30-day content marketing calendar. The key message here is that 30 days does not mean 30 random posts. The goal is 30 days of intentional marketing. We have a strategic content journey that moves through awareness, engagement, trust, lead generation, conversion, and retention. The calendar is then organized across 4 weeks. Week number 1, from day 1 to 7, we are going to focus on awareness, introducing and attracting people. Week 2, which is from days 8 to 14, we are going to focus on engagement, connecting and interacting with the audience. And week 3, which is day 15 to 21, we are going to focus on building trust by educating and building confidence. Then week 4, day 22 to 30, we are going to focus on leads and sales, while also bringing in retention to delight and retain customers. We also have a balanced content mix. This includes educational content, engagement, storytelling, product content, behind the scenes, social proof, promotional content, lead generation, sales, and community content. So every day has a purpose, and every post is designed to move the customer forward. Now we are going to turn our strategy into a 30-day calendar. I am asking ChatGPT to use the personas and content pillars we have already developed instead of starting from scratch. For every day, we are defining the platform, audience, pillar, topic, format, hook, message, CTA, and business objective. We are also making sure the content isn't just promotional. The objective is not simply to produce 30 posts. The objective is to create 30 days of intentional marketing. I've already copied the prompts. Like I said, I will provide a prompt library of all the prompts used. Then you can apply them to your own personal business for practice. And you will see the beauty of this course by the time you are practicing by yourself. Great. So when you look at it, we have a 30-day content marketing calendar already. We have on the second week, we already have the platform where we need to post, who we are targeting, the content pillar, the content topic, the formats. Is it a reel? Is it a graphics? Is it video? Reels are videos. Interesting. So for each day, now we know what to post intentionally. Lesson 6, strategy to content. So at this point, we are going to move from planning to content that connects. For example, look at day 1, we are focusing on young professionals, and the content is going to be around creating awareness. We start with the objective, which is to build brand awareness. Then we identify the audience, young professionals in Abuja. Next is the hook. The purpose of the hook is to grab attention quickly. Within the first 1 or 2 seconds, you should be able to grab the attention of your audience, of the young professionals. Then comes the message, where we deliver the value that speaks directly to the audience need. And finally, the CTA, which guides the audience to take action. The full meaning of CTA is call to action. On the slide, we can see AI generated draft on the left, and we can see refined and humanized version on the right. So what does that tell us? What this tells us is, after the AI tool has generated the content for us, it's very important for us to validate it, to refine it, to review it. Then it becomes humanized version. In this generation, in this dispensation of AI, people appreciate authentic content more than AI generated content. And AI generated content are very easy to spot these days. The important difference is that we are not simply accepting the final AI output, like I said. We are refining it so that the message feels more natural and focused on the audience. So the process we are going to go through to convert strategy to content is the objective that builds the brand awareness. We know our audience, they are young professionals in Abuja. The hook that captures the attention within 1 to 2 seconds. The message that is actually what communicates the value to the audience needs. And the CTA comes last, which is the call to action. This is where you guide your audience to take an action. Then we refine the content before using it. Now we are moving from the calendar to actual post. I'm selecting day one, which targets young professionals in Abuja and has brand awareness objective. I'm asking ChatGPT to create the hook, caption, CTA, visual concept, format, and hashtags. But we are not stopping there. I'm going to ask ChatGPT to review its own output and identify anything that sounds generic, exaggerated, overly promotional, or AI generated. Then we'll refine it. This is important because AI generated content should be reviewed and refined before it's being used. So the first thing I will do now is to ask ChatGPT to create the hook, caption, CTA, visual concept, format, and hashtags. So I've copied the prompt. I'll paste the prompt right here and get our content according to the structure. After that has been generated, I will copy my refinement prompt to refine this particular output we have here. So I call these refinement prompts because it's actually going to review this post critically and identify some unwanted items. So make it a practice to always review whatsoever AI generates for you. It's very important. Try as much as possible to make your prompt to be humanized, to sound like human. For example, now, this day one post, by the time we go through it, we can see that it looks better than what we have. Lesson 7, we are going to be turning one idea to multiple assets. The idea is simple. Instead of creating completely different content for every platform, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, we take one marketing idea and turn it into different content assets. Our core marketing idea here is more people, more orders, with the objective of building brand awareness among young professionals in Abuja. From that one idea, we can create a social media post that communicates the message. We can use a graphics to present it visually. We can use a video that will bring the message to life with motion. We can use a WhatsApp message that allows us to share the message directly to our contacts on our phones and drive action. So we are taking one central idea and giving it different formats: graphics, WhatsApp format, video format. So for demonstration purpose, we are going to use our ChatGPT and Canva. Canva is actually for graphics design to give visual to your content. So one thing I would like us to take note of before we go to the next lesson, one good marketing idea can become multiple useful content assets that help us reach the audience in different ways, on different platforms. Now we are going to turn our social media content into a visual asset. I am using ChatGPT first to create the design brief. The brief defines the objective, format, visual direction, headlines, supporting text, CTA, layout, typography, and brand style. Notice that we are not just telling Canva to make a nice food graphics. We are giving the design a clear marketing purpose. Once ChatGPT gives us the brief, we are moving into Canva and use that direction to create the actual graphics. So this is the first time we are mentioning Canva. It's being used for designing graphics and video, majorly visual assets specifically. So I will first prompt the ChatGPT to give us a design direction. Thereafter, I will copy whatsoever ChatGPT generates for us and paste it into Canva to generate our visual assets. This is done. Let me copy it. Now that it's been copied, we have a direction for our visual assets design. Then we'll come to Canva. I will navigate to Canva AI. So from the Canva AI, I'll paste the output I got from ChatGPT here. Then let's see what our Canva will generate. Perfect. Lesson 8. Create once, adapt everywhere. The idea here is simple. We take one strategic marketing idea and adapt it into different formats like video or images, WhatsApp formats for different platforms. We have different social media marketing platforms. Twitter is there now, X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and so on and so forth. For day one, our marketing idea is building brand awareness among young professionals in Abuja. From this one idea, we can create an Instagram or Facebook post with an eye-catching image and short caption. We can turn the same idea into a 30-second short video that shows the food, address a need, and ends with a CTA. We can also create a WhatsApp message that is more personal and direct, that can relate with our contacts directly with the goal of driving action. For LinkedIn, the message becomes more professional and value-driven, helping to build credibility and reach. And finally, we can adapt it into an email with a more detailed message that nurtures interest and encourages action. So the important point here is that we are not simply copying the same content and posting it on all the platforms. What we do is we keep the core message. But we use different formats and tone and style that fits each of these platforms. What fits LinkedIn is different from what fits Facebook. What fits Facebook is different from what might fit TikTok. Therefore, we must understand the different formats, tone, and style that fits each of these platforms with a CTA situated to how we want people to respond. So remember, repurposing doesn't mean copying. It means adapting one strategic idea to different behavior of each platform. Now we are going to take one marketing idea and create multiple assets from it. I'm using the same day one idea and I'm asking ChatGPT to adapt it into a short video script, WhatsApp message, LinkedIn post, and Instagram caption. The important instruction is to keep the core message consistent while changing the tone, length, structure, and CTA for each platform. We are not copying and pasting. We are adapting the same strategic idea to fit the platform. So this is the prompt. The prompt, you can see we have four sections in the prompt: a 30-second short form video script, a WhatsApp promotional message, a LinkedIn post, and Instagram caption from one strategic idea. Let's see what ChatGPT generates for us. Perfect. So for the 30-second short form video script, how our video script should be organized. From that strategic idea, we have that. What our WhatsApp promotional message should sound like, we have that. What our LinkedIn post should look like, we have that. And what our Instagram caption should look like, we have that. So we can see one strategic idea into different formats and different platforms. Lesson 9. Publishing with a purpose. The important point here is that publishing is not the end. We need to know what we are measuring so that we can understand the results. Sometimes we can post and it's a failure. Sometimes we can post and it's a success. We know whether it's a failure or a success if we know what we are measuring. The process starts with the content. Valuable and relevant content that serves our audience. Then we have the audience, the right people seeing the content. Next action is, this could mean that people engage, click, make an inquiry, or take another action, view, watch video. And finally, we have the business results, where those actions translate into measurable business outcomes. What we measure depends on the objective. For awareness, we measure reach and views. For engagement, we look at comments, saves, and shares. For lead generation, we measure clicks and inquiries. For conversion, we measure orders and purchases we get from our audience. And for retention, we look at repeated customers. So the key here is great content, the right audience, and the right action should lead to real business growth. We need to measure consistently all these metrics: the reach, the views, the comments, the saves, the shares, the clicks, the inquiries, the orders. Then when we analyze this regularly, we have ability to optimize continuously. Now we are going to one of the most important parts of the system: learning from the results. I am giving ChatGPT actual content performance data and asking it to analyze what happened. I want to identify the strongest and weakest content, the metrics that matter most, patterns in the data, possible reasons, what we should repeat, what we should change, and recommendations for the next campaign. But there is an important instruction here. Don't confuse engagement with conversion. We are also asking AI to clearly separate what the data actually shows from hypotheses that still need testing. This is where AI moves beyond content creation and becomes part of the learning process. For the sake of this course, I'll be using sample data. So I've already copied my prompt. This is the prompt. I've pasted the prompts in our ChatGPT. So in the prompt here, this is where I will put my sample data. Let me copy my sample data, which I have in my Google Docs. This is the sample data for post 1, 2, 3. So I've copied the sample data. Then I can come into my prompt, paste the data, then let the AI do the analysis. Great. So AI is not just being used for content creation alone. We can use it to analyze the performance of the content that has been generated. So we already know the strongest post. So the strongest performing content is the post 2, while the weakest performing content is what? Is the post 3. In this lesson, we'll be looking at the AI feedback loop. It's so interesting. The idea is that AI does not only help us to create content, it also helps us to learn from the results. The process is a continuous loop. We create a content, publish the content, then we measure the content, analyze it, then we learn from our analysis. From what we have learned, we can now improve, then we create again. So that is the AI feedback loop. Let's look at the example on the right. So the example on the right, that's a virtual data or in fictional data. We want to use it for the purpose of this course. Our business objective is to generate leads and increase order. Don't forget, our business objective is to do what? Is to generate leads and increase order. Now we have to repost. Now, post 2 is the strongest performing content from the look. It has the highest engagements as well as the most clicks, and it as well as most clicks and leads. And when you look at post 3, it is obviously the weakest. It has the lowest engagement, clicks and leads. Because our objective is leads and orders, clicks and leads are the key metrics we should pay a close attention to. Engagement is useful, but engagement. Now we are closing the loop. We have created the contents, published it, measured the results, analyzed the performance. Now we are going to use those results to build the next 30-day strategy. I'm asking ChatGPT to identify what we should continue, reduce, and test. We are also looking at which audience segment deserve more attention, which content pillar needs more or less emphasis, new opportunities, and recommended experiments. And again, we are not treating correlation as proof of causation. The goal is to use the previous campaign as evidence and build a better next campaign. So I already have the prompt copied. So I've pasted the prompts. Then let's see what will be analyzed for us. So this is improved 30-day content strategy, which we got from what? From the previous result we have analyzed. Perfect. Lesson 11. Build the next 30-day cycle. The idea here is simple. Close the loop and get better every month. In month 1, we create, publish, and measure. Then we learn from the results. What to keep, what to change, and what to test. In month 2, what do? We use those insights to improve our strategy, to create better content based on what works for us in month 1, publish it across the right channels, and measure the result again. We measure the result again. When deciding what to continue, we focus on high engagement contents, strong click and lead drivers, and topics that align with the audience needs. For what to reduce, we look at low engagement contents, low click-through content, and topics with weak audience interest. Then we decide what to test, such as new content formats, different hooks and angles, new posting times, and new CTAs. We also look at our audience focus, prioritizing segments that engage and convert, and creating tailored content for key segments. For our content pillars, we increase focus on the high-performing ones and reduce focus on those performing poorly. We can also identify new opportunities such as trending topics, seasonal moments, audience pains, and partnership ideas. Finally, we can run experiments around posting times, content formats, hook and headlines, CTAs, variations, and audience segments. The key message is use last month's results to build a stronger next 30 days. AI helps us create smarter content, but more importantly, it helps us learn from real results of the past to make the next campaign better. Let's look at the complete practical stack. For business analysis, personal content, the 30-day calendar copy and design briefs, we used our ChatGPT. For the actual graphics, we use our Canva. This is what we use for our actual graphics. And for analytics, and we use the platform analytics. So though in our practical demo we use sample data, but in the real world experience, You are going to get your analytics from your Instagram, from your Facebook, from your what's it called, from your LinkedIn. So this data are what we are going to paste in our ChatGPT for analysis. So there are different types of AI tools. There are dozens of tools, but ability to use these tools into one reputable workflow is what matters. And that's really the point of this course. From AI to strategy, action, and results. Lesson 12, your turn. It is your turn to put everything we have covered into practice. Your mission is to build your own AI-powered content marketing system using a real business. Start with the business context, where you define the business, its goals, target market, and value proposition. Next, create the customer persona so that you can identify and understand your ID customers. Then define your content pillar, the core themes that align with the audience needs and the business goal. After that, I will expect you to create a 30-day content calendar and plan the daily content across different formats and different platforms. Then create your first content asset using the strategy you have developed. The next thing is create a measurement plan by defining the key metric, tools, and reporting frequency. And finally, create an optimization plan that determines how you will analyze the results and improve continuously. The goal is to apply the 30-day content marketing system to a real business and get results. So the journey is simple. We use AI to create our strategy. We convert our strategy into action. Then we see the results. Then we create the loop and recycle it again. Now let's bring everything together. The complete process starts with understanding. We need to understand the business, the audience, and the market opportunities. Then we plan. We build a strategy, content pillars, and the 30-day content plan. Next, we create. We use AI to create high quality, valuable content that connects with our audience. Then we publish consistently across the right channels. Please take note of these points. Posting consistently the right content to the right audience on the right channels. Very, very important. Consistently. After publishing, we measure. We track the performance metrics that matter to our goals. And finally, we improve. We analyze the results, learn what works, learn what is not working, and continue to optimize. And this brings us to the most important point of this course. The real skill is not simply knowing how to ask ChatGPT for a caption. The real skill is knowing how to use AI inside the marketing system that has a business objective. Once you understand that workflow, the individual AI tools become much easier to use. So the journey is simple, from understanding to planning, creating, publishing, measuring, and improving. Now let's look at the practical demo stack we used. For business analysis, personas, content strategy, the 30-day calendar, copy, and design briefs, we use ChatGPT. For the graphics, we use what? We use Canva. For analytics, we take our analytics from the platform, and then we use ChatGPT again for analysis. Then you need to understand the competitive advantage isn't having more AI tools. It is knowing how to connect a small number of tools into a repeatable workflow. The real skill isn't simply asking ChatGPT for a caption. It is knowing how to use AI inside a marketing system that has a clear business objective.